Hello, everyone. This is Marty Harger. I'm a Diamond doTERRA Wellness Advocate, co-author of the Essential Yoga Program, a certified Aroma Touch Technique instructor, and also a wellness center owner and licensed massage therapist. I'm looking forward to sharing with you today some ideas about connecting with webinars. Over the last nearly 7 years that I've been involved in using the doTERRA essential oils and wellness products, I've had an opportunity to build my team and grow it all over the world. And what I found is, although I'm not a technical guru by any means, I'm going to show you today some ideas of how I work to communicate and connect with my team around the country and around the world using webinar technology. The trends in our society today, as we know, are that people want to get information. They want to get what they want, when they want it, and how they want it. And webinars provide us a fantastic way to do that and provide training, education, and truly connection. So what is a webinar? A webinar is a seminar that is provided on the World Wide Web. And it can be a presentation. It is something that can allow participants to listen and view something. They can also hear a presenter. They may be in a situation where they can interact and ask questions and sometimes answer a poll online. We are going to be focusing today in my talk about the idea of communicating and using webinars with your current team. But do know that the same technologies are a great choice for reaching out and creating material you can share with prospective team members. As your team grows in different time zones and across the country, you may find yourself in a position to need to communicate with people in other parts of the country. Again, knowing that people have not only fixed schedules when they need to work, but you may have a fixed schedule. You may be doing your doTERRA business building on a part-time basis. Some people have fluctuations seasonally where they have sometimes of year they're available, for instance, in the mornings or the evenings, but in the summer season, perhaps that changes if the kids are out of school. So one of the things that webinars allow you to do is to create consistency of delivering content to people and to keep your team engaged and working with you. Now, let me just say as a caveat, if you don't have people outside of your current geography and time zone at this point, then you don't need to be focusing on creating a lot of webinar material because perhaps your team is just in your local community and you get together face-to-face, which is ideal. But for those of you whose teams have grown beyond that and are reaching out into new geographies, this is a terrific way to stay in touch with people. And those relationships that you're building are the key to your long-term doTERRA future. So let's talk about building relationships using webinars to connect with your team. And this is my focus today, about you and your team. Webinars give you the opportunity to extend the reach of how you communicate and the frequency that you communicate with your team. These are the fundamentals of any good marketing strategy, are the concepts of reach and frequency. You can work with your business leaders around the country, providing value as a team leader by enhancing the way that you offer content, the things that you've learned along your doTERRA trail, and providing training to your team. We can't always travel to reach our teammates, so being online is a great way to go. Sometimes we can be live on the line, and sometimes we'll be recorded on the line, and we'll talk about both of those today. But as your team is growing, you're going to find there are different kinds of topics and trainings that you want to provide. You may want to tap your leadership team and look at ways you can incorporate them and their subject matter expertise to build content and information that helps train your customers, your leaders, your sharers, your builders to move ahead and duplicate the business opportunity that doTERRA offers. Webinars can provide that for you. But it's important that we keep it simple, that we keep the main thing the main thing. So I want to emphasize to everybody listening to this, please don't derail your team building efforts by trying to create content and webinars. This is an activity that becomes more appropriate as your team gets larger. But in the beginning, focus on the core team building activities. And go look at maybe another blog on the doTERRA business blog today instead of this one, and save this for a later time when your team is ready for information across time zones. Ask yourself, will creating a webinar enhance my reach and frequency with my team? Also ask, is this same information already created somewhere that you can link into and send it off to your team instead of creating your own version of it? Keep it simple, guys. Keep the main thing the main thing. Now let's get on with the webinar creating process. The first thing we're going to talk about today is how we create content, and I happen to be giving you an example using PowerPoint. How you record content. I'm using the gotowebinar.com website to do that. And then how we upload it into YouTube to create a link to share across various platforms. Again, that's something I'll be doing today with this webinar. So these are the steps I'm going to cover in 5 easy steps to create your own webinar. First of all, you need to know your audience. Secondly, what platform are you going to use? Third, how to create your content. Fourth, the importance of rehearsing, presenting, and recording. And fifth, how to post and repurpose the content that you've created. So let's start with your audience. Who is your audience? Are you wanting to talk to some of your team members? All of your team members? Are you creating a webinar for prospects? Think about these questions. What do they need to know? What do they want to know? How long of an attention span do they have? This is really a soundbite culture, and all of us know that people want little bits of information at a time. Sometimes creating multiple small webinars can be more valuable than one long one. And does your audience want to hear just from you, or would it be appropriate to incorporate other people in your webinar, another team leader, or perhaps a couple of people in how you convey the information? Look to your upline, your downline, crossline, and frontline leaders. These are all people who have something important to share and teach. So think about tapping their expertise to reach the appropriate audience you want to communicate with. Now, the second point is, what platform are you going to use? You have to identify first the need of the content you're going to present. You have to make sure that the method that you use to present is appropriate for the topic and the content that you're going to share. So as you are selecting your content, you want to take a look at some of the different kinds of choices that are available to you. For instance, you may be wanting to have a sole speaker, just you, or maybe you and someone else. Whenever you are choosing this platform, you want to make sure that it's something that will be flexible for your needs. Here is an incredibly beginning list of the gazillions of options that are out there online for you to use for recording. All of these on this left side are tools that you can use to record a webinar, such as a PowerPoint like this one, and to be able to save it up into a YouTube. These on the right side are more of a live presentation. So sometimes we want to have group coaching calls. We might want to have some kind of a training where we're showing somebody something online to teach them how to use, for instance, their virtual office, or doing a demonstration of product. So those on the right side allow you to have like a camera and do live interactions this way, whether it's on your phone or on your laptop or your iPad. On the left side, again, these are these programs that you can purchase to record material, save it, and then post it later. Important points, and all different price points and costs to have some of these. Some of these are free, and some do have a subscription fee. So let's move on to point number 3, creating your content. You want to make sure that you're going to match the medium that you're going to use to your message. In other words, if it's going to require discussion and a demonstration of what's on your desktop, you're probably going to want to use one of the live camera type platforms. If it's something you're going to record ahead of time and send out, you may want to be using more of the GoToWebinar type of system so that you have a way to record everything that you're saying and showing on your screen. Make sure that your content is to the point, short and sweet. As we said, in today's culture, this is absolutely soundbite information, and people want actionable, interesting ideas on what to do with this information when you share it. Very important that you rehearse when you're speaking, and there are many different places you can go to practice public speaking, but I would encourage you to do that as you are starting to record more and more material. Think about who your audience is. Make sure that you are showing images and you are talking to the people in a method that they are going to be able to understand. And As much as possible, keep in mind that in today's multimedia culture, people are used to good visuals. So take an extra few minutes and check for typos, check for the structure and the layout of your material that you're going to put together. So here's some different ideas on content. For instance, from a business perspective, sometimes we want to share information about using the products. Both the essential oils and the wellness products make great content for sending out e-training to your staff, or to your employees and in your own business who might want to learn more about doTERRA. I do that with my own people, or you might want to create something that's going to be shared with your team and certainly with prospective people for your team. You can record all kinds of different types of webinars about oils and products. The second kind of content that we want to create is business content. Now, this could be done with something like explaining the loyalty rewards program, as you see here. We could do back office demonstrations and training. There are many, many ways to create material and content that you can record and share using the webinar concept. Let's talk through a few of the primary ways we use webinars. The first is a live demonstration event. This is kind of like a show and tell, where you allow people to talk face-to-face and learn how to create, for instance, a make and take, or how to make a spray. Maybe they want to learn how to dilute their oils or how to apply the oils to their children's feet. This is a great way to use the technologies face-to-face and create that live experience. I also often use live demonstration events to have group coaching calls with my team around the country. Perhaps you're doing some training with different ranks in your organization, and using the live demonstration approach is a great way to show concepts for group coaching calls. The next approach is screen sharing events. This is one of my favorite ways to teach people about their back office and to show them some of the many websites that doTERRA has to offer. I also use screen sharing events when I'm working with a team of leaders as we're perhaps reviewing flyers for an event we're going to have, or the agenda for business training we're scheduling in another city. We use our screen sharing to work together on collaborative information and communication to other members of the team. And finally, one of the most common ways I use webinars are to record different kinds of events. Now, often I will hold a webinar seminar for my team, and it will be considered a live event. And the benefit of that is we can engage our audience, and it makes it fun to be talking to people on the other end of the internet who are listening in. You can do polls or questionnaires, and they can answer questions for you. And I like to do prizes sometimes at the end of my webinars. So for those who show up live while you're recording your information, they might have an opportunity to win some great team prizes. The benefit of recording your webinars is that you can take that recording and repurpose it and reissue the same information, so that you don't find yourself spending a lot of time reteaching the same content. You can merely take what you've recorded, and you want to make sure it's something you can post up to YouTube, so that you create this link that you can send out to others and let them listen to that information again and again. As you all know, we constantly have new team members joining us, so recording webinars is a wonderful way to offer teaching and information and all of the things that you've learned as a doTERRA wellness advocate that you want to share with your downline team. Now, in YouTube, you can either make these trainings publicly available, in other words, everyone can see them, or unlisted and make them just available to your team if you prefer. So that's a great way to use recorded events. Now, the message creation has to follow the medium, and that is, are you going to need a video camera? Will you be having screen sharing of files or websites? What about PowerPoint or the Apple equivalent of PowerPoint? Are you going to use mixed media with sound? And you'll need to practice with that, but you want to make sure that your message that you're creating is going to be appropriate for the medium that you're using. Now, as we go to create content, I have created this presentation using PowerPoint. There are a million different how-to YouTubes out there to teach yourself how to use different kinds of software to create content and presentations that you can then use as the basis of your webinar. Just go to YouTube and put a little search bar question in there, and you'll get all kinds of things you can work with. You'll want to make sure that you rehearse out loud. What is it you're going to be saying to people? Always making sure that you're practicing before you start recording and presenting live. Now, I do want to point out, you can see this woman has a headset on when she's recording, and I would encourage you to get to your local technology store and pick up a $30 headset if you're going to be doing some webinar recording. It really does enhance the sound quality and makes it a lot more clean and simple to record. Step number 5 is to post your recording and repurpose it. And this is really where the magic happens. You want to take that information and again, use it to connect with your team. You can email them a YouTube link. You can post that information on your team Facebook page, websites, blogs, on newsletters, YouTube channels. And you can also take those recordings and show them or parts of them at team training events that you hold when you travel around the country or you get a group of people together. I often use pre-recorded webinars we've already done to show at team trainings. And again, it's a great way to show people where they can go to listen to it in the future over again if they would like more, another chance to hear that same information. Some examples that I'd like to show you with my own team that are allowing us to create duplication in our downline and to start to create a bigger training opportunity for those who are all over the country and around the world. So we have a content library on YouTube. When we create our webinars, I store all of them in one place, and then I can take the links to these and repurpose them in many different places. For example, our team newsletters and e-training. We have a program where every week we're sending out a new webinar about the essential oils and products for our team members to learn more. Recognize again that as your team is growing, there's always new people who want to see this information. So if they aren't already involved in your team at the time you send that newsletter or you send out e-training, the benefit of having a website or a blog is that you can post these kinds of webinars and people can go back and listen to them at a later date. This happens to be my team oils training page and my team business builders page. Now, we also like to make a big deal of the new webinars and put them on our Facebook pages. So again, the same webinar can appear in multiple places multiple times and can be sent out as a link just even in a one-on-one communication for email. So in my webinar today for you on connecting with webinars, I've tried to walk you through the 5 steps of identifying your audience and what they need to know, clarifying what platform you're going to use that's appropriate for the message you're trying to convey. 3rd, creating your content or message. 4, the importance of rehearsing, presenting, and then recording what you're creating. And 5, how to take that information and post it and repurpose it to create duplication in your organization. So where do you get started? Well, I encourage people to crawl before they run, and that is that there's some easy ways you can get started to introduce yourself and get more comfortable with the idea of using these technologies. First of all, one of the easiest ways is to start with some face-to-face coaching. Using your phone or your laptop, you can connect using tools like Skype. You can use iMeetings and a variety of things online to just start talking with another person face-to-face online. Then you might want to move ahead to sharing your screen and looking at some of the free screensharing.com programs where you can show someone and demonstrate concepts about their virtual office or some of the websites you want them to go to learn more. The next thing is think about recording weekly team calls. Using freeconferencecall.com, it's a great way to start exploring the idea of sharing some of your knowledge with some of your teammates. Practice speaking out loud and practice recording that. Then share the links to what you've recorded. Finally, move on to webinars, creating the content, rehearsing, recording, and repurposing. This is a process. The technology is a bit of a journey and it's always changing, but that makes it exciting and fun. Take turns with your teammates and start to create some of that content and webinars that will be beneficial for you in creating duplication in your doTERRA business. As we discussed today, I hope that these ideas that I've shared are going to help you to understand how and why to use webinars and recordings to enhance your connection and your communication with your team. I'm wishing you great business success in your doTERRA team efforts, And if you have questions, please feel free to contact me via email or phone. Thank you so much for joining me. Goodbye, everybody.